A book no one can read. An entire Roman legion that vanished into fog. A woman who danced until her heart gave out and took 400 people with her. History has gaps, big ones. Today, we're diving into 10 mysteries that historians, archaeologists, and scientists still can't explain. Some have theories, others just questions. Let's find the answers that don't exist yet. Case number 10. The book no one can read. The Voynich Manuscript. 240 pages. Elegant, flowing handwriting. Written sometime in the early 1400s. And nobody can read a single word. The text is written in an alphabet that doesn't match any known language on Earth. It's not Latin, Arabic, Hebrew, Chinese, or any coded version of them. Linguists have analyzed it for over a century. It's its own thing. But here's what makes it truly bizarre. The illustrations. Pages filled with plants that don't exist. Botanical drawings of flowers and herbs that match no known species. Astronomical diagrams with suns and moons arranged in ways that defy medieval cosmology. And perhaps most unsettling, dozens of naked women bathing in green liquid, connected by tubes. Either this is cutting-edge medieval science, or someone really wanted to confuse future scholars. The Codebreakers. During World War II, the people who cracked the Nazi Enigma machine took a shot at the Voynich manuscript. They failed. In 2016, AI trained to decipher encrypted texts tried. Also failed. The manuscript has a 100% failure rate across centuries of cryptographers. At this point, it's just showing off. But here's the twist. Statistical analysis shows the text follows linguistic rules. It has sentence structure, word frequency patterns. It's not random scribbles. It behaves like a real language. Some believe it's a constructed language. Others think it's an incredibly sophisticated cipher. A few argue it's a medieval hoax designed to sell to a gullible collector. If it's a hoax, it's the most committed prank in history. Mystery level, 8 out of 10. Either someone in 1400 invented their own language for fun, or they knew something we still haven't figured out. Either way, they're winning. Case number 9. 5,000 soldiers walk into fog and disappear. Rome, 2nd century AD. Legio IX Hispana, the 9th Legion. 5,000 elite soldiers. Battle-hardened veterans who'd fought everywhere from Spain to North Africa to the Rhine. Around 108 to 120 AD, they're stationed in Britain. The northern tribes are causing trouble. The 9th Legion marches north into Caledonia, modern-day Scotland, to deal with it. And then, nothing. They're never mentioned in Roman records again. No battle reports, no mass graves, no archaeological evidence. An entire legion just walks into the Scottish Highlands and ghosts Rome like a bad Tinder date. Here's what makes it stranger. Rome kept meticulous military records. Legions were tracked, rotated, reorganized. Losing 5,000 soldiers should have been empire-wide scandal. Congressional hearings, somebody getting fired. But there's just silence. Theories. Maybe they were transferred east to fight in Parthia and the paperwork got lost. Maybe Caledonian tribes wiped them out and Rome buried the story out of embarrassment. Nothing says unstoppable empire like losing an entire legion to people in kilts. In 2015, archaeologists found evidence that their fortress at York continued operating after 120 AD, suggesting they weren't annihilated. But if they left Britain, where did they go? Mystery level, 7 out of 10. Rome once lost an entire legion and just didn't mention it. That's either impressive bureaucratic incompetence or a really good covering. Case number 8, the word that haunts America. 1587, Roanoke Island, North Carolina. 115 English settlers establish a colony in the New World. Their leader, John White, sails back to England for supplies. The plan? Return in a few months. But England goes to war with Spain. White is stranded for 3 years. When he finally returns in 1590, the settlement is a ghost town. Houses dismantled methodically. Not destroyed, but taken apart. No bodies, no signs of struggle. Just one word carved into a post. Croatoan. Here's what makes this stranger. Before White left, they'd agreed on a signal. If colonists had to leave under duress, they'd carve a Maltese cross. There was no cross. Croatoan was both a nearby island and a friendly local tribe. White wanted to search immediately, but a storm hit, his crew said absolutely not, and they sailed back to England. White never returned. So the colonists carved detailed instructions, and nobody came to read them. Classic communication breakdown. So what happened? In the 1990s, archaeologists found a ring belonging to one of the colonists buried 50 miles inland at a Native American site. In 2020, they discovered English pottery on Hatteras Island, formerly Croatoan, mixed with indigenous artifacts. Most likely, the colonists integrated with the Croatoan tribe. DNA studies of the Lumbee people show potential English ancestry from the late 1500s. Mystery level, 6 out of 10. We have clues. We have theories. What we don't have is a single colonist diary explaining, yeah, we just moved in with the neighbors. Case number 7, the invaders who ended civilization. 1200 BCE. The Bronze Age is at its peak. The Eastern Mediterranean is thriving. Powerful empires, international trade, cultural exchange. The ancient world's golden age. Then, around 1177 BCE, everything collapses. A mysterious confederation of invaders appears. Ancient texts call them the Sea Peoples. Nobody knows where they came from. Egyptian inscriptions say they're from the islands and from the north. That's like saying they came from somewhere with water. Very helpful, ancient Egypt. What we know, they didn't just raid, they annihilated. City after city burns. Ugarit, a major trade hub, sends a desperate letter to Cyprus. Enemy ships have been seen at sea. The enemy is here. Help us. That's the last thing Ugarit ever wrote. The city was destroyed so completely, it was never rebuilt. The Hittite Empire collapses entirely. Mycenaean Greece falls. Egypt barely survives. Pharaoh Ramses III fights them off and immortalizes the battle on temple walls like ancient propaganda posters. When the dust settles, the Bronze Age is over. Writing systems vanish. Trade stops. Humanity enters a 300-year dark age. Who were they? We have no idea. Egyptian reliefs show warriors with feathered headdresses and round shields. Names like the Peliseth and Sheridan are mentioned, but we can't connect them to any known civilization. Modern theory? Climate change, drought, and earthquakes caused a systems collapse. The Sea Peoples weren't a single force. They were displaced refugees, pirates, and mercenaries taking advantage of chaos. Basically, civilization had a really bad century and fell apart. Mystery level, 9 out of 10. An entire era ended in flames, and the best answer we have is, it's complicated. Case number 6, the Ghost Ship. December 4th, 1872. The Atlantic Ocean, 400 miles east of the Azores. The British ship De Gratia spots a vessel drifting erratically. It's the Mary Celeste. They'd left New York Harbor together weeks earlier. something's wrong. The ship is zigzagging under partial sail. No one responds to signals. When sailors board, the scene is eerie. The ship is in perfect condition. Cargo intact. 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol, all secured. 6 months of food and water. Navigation equipment in place. Personal belongings undisturbed. But the crew? Gone. All 10 of them. The lifeboat is missing. A frayed rope trails from the stern. The last logbook entry is November 25th, 9 days earlier. No signs of struggle, no blood, no storm damage. It's a perfectly seaworthy vessel, abandoned mid-voyage, for no apparent reason. Theories. The most plausible, the cargo. Industrial alcohol releases invisible explosive fumes. A small leak might have created vapor in the hold. Fearing an explosion, the crew abandoned ship in the lifeboat, planning to stay nearby until safe. The rope broke, they drifted away, and died at sea. Others suggest a waterspout or underwater seismic activity caused panic. What really fuels the mystery? The De Gradia crew were accused of foul play. They stood to gain a large salvage reward. The case went to court. No evidence of wrongdoing was found, but suspicion lingered. Mystery level, 7 out of 10. The alcohol vapor theory makes sense. But experienced sailors abandoning a functional ship with no visible danger? That's the part that doesn't add up. Maybe they saw something we can't explain, or maybe they just panicked. Either way, the Mary Celeste earned its ghost ship reputation. Case number 5. The plague that made people dance to death. Strasbourg, July 1518. A woman named Frau Trophea steps into the street and begins to dance. She doesn't stop. For hours. Then days. Her feet bleed. She's exhausted, but she keeps dancing. Within a week, 34 others join her. Within a month, 400 people are dancing uncontrollably. This isn't a flash mob. It's a nightmare. They dance for days, some for weeks, collapsing from exhaustion, waking up, continuing. The heat is unbearable. People are dying. Strokes, heart attacks, physical breakdown. Historians estimate 15 deaths per day at its peak. The authorities' response. The Strasbourg City Council is baffled. Their diagnosis? Hot blood. The cure? More dancing. They build wooden stages, hire musicians, and pay professional dancers to keep it going. Because clearly, what this mass death event needs is a soundtrack. It made things worse. More people joined. More people died. By September, the plague burns out. Survivors stop. The dead are buried. And everyone agrees to never speak of this again. Modern theories. Mass psychogenic illness. Strasbourg in 1518 was a disaster. Famine, disease, poverty. The dancing might have been collective delusion triggered by trauma. One person starts, others mimic unconsciously. Ergot poisoning. Ergot fungus on wet rye causes convulsions and hallucinations. Problem? Ergot victims writhe in agony. They don't waltz for weeks. Different symptom profile entirely. Religious mania. Some point to the cult of Saint Vitus. Dancing was used in rituals for divine healing. Maybe they believed they were cursed. What's truly disturbing? This wasn't the only dancing plague. Similar outbreaks in Aachen, 1374, and Cologne, 1375. But Strasbourg, 1518, was the deadliest and best documented. Mystery level, 8 out of 10. We have city records and eyewitness accounts. What we don't have is a medical explanation for 400 people literally dancing themselves to death. Medieval Europe was wild. Case number 4. The treasure map that leads nowhere. 1952. Qumran Caves near the Dead Sea. Bedouin shepherds stumble upon the Dead Sea Scrolls, one of the biggest archaeological discoveries ever. Most scrolls are religious texts, parchment, fragile, sacred. But one scroll is different. It's made of pure copper, and it's not religious, it's a treasure map. What the copper scroll says: 64 locations, detailed directions, hundreds of tons of gold and silver allegedly hidden when the Second Temple was destroyed in 70 AD. Sample entry. In the canal of the Old Pool, at 17 cubits, 17 talents of silver. Another. In the hole of the priest at Beth Hakarim, 65 gold bars. If real, this is one of the greatest lost treasures in history. So why hasn't anyone found it? The problem. The Old Pool doesn't exist. The canal could be anywhere. Beth Hakarim is disputed. After 2,000 years of war, earthquakes, and urban development, the landmarks are gone. Some locations might be under modern Jerusalem, a city that's been continuously inhabited and built over for millennia. Good luck getting a digging permit for that. Theories. It's real. The expensive copper material suggests it wasn't a joke. Maybe the Essenes or temple priests hid it during the Roman siege. It's symbolic. Maybe it's allegorical, a spiritual message, not a literal map, though that's a very expensive allegory. It was already found. Maybe the Romans looted it. Maybe someone found it centuries ago and didn't realize. Maybe early archaeologists uncovered pieces and melted them down before anyone knew what they had. For 70 years, treasure hunters have searched. Not a single coin has turned up. Mystery level, 6 out of 10. Either the greatest treasure hunt in history or the world's oldest prank. Both options are equally plausible at this point. Case number 3. The Dyatlov Pass Incident. February 1959. The Ural Mountains, Soviet Russia. 9 experienced hikers, led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, set out on a winter trek to Otorten Mountain. On February 1st, they camp on the slopes of Kholat Syakhl. The mountain's name translates to Dead Mountain in the local Mansi language. Subtle foreshadowing, Russia. They never come back. When search teams arrive weeks later, the campsite is horrifying. The tent is slashed open from the inside. The hikers cut their way out with knives. They fled into a minus 30 Celsius blizzard, wearing almost nothing. No boots, no coats, some in just underwear. 9 sets of footprints lead downhill toward a forest. Then, they stop. The bodies. First 2. Found under a cedar tree, barefoot, in underwear. A fire had been lit. Branches broken 5 meters up. Someone climbed, possibly to see something. Next 3. Found between the cedar and tent, as if they tried to return, but collapsed. The last 4? Buried under 4 meters of snow in a ravine, with catastrophic injuries. 1 missing her tongue, eyes, and lips. Massive chest fractures. 2 others, broken ribs, severe chest trauma. 1, fractured skull. Force equivalent to a car crash. Yet almost no external trauma. Internal damage without external wounds. And some of their clothes tested positive for radiation. The official verdict. Soviet authorities. Death by compelling natural force. Case closed. Area sealed for 3 years. Super helpful, guys. Theories. Avalanche, 2019 study, but no evidence and the tent was still standing. Military weapons test near a rocket site. Infrasound from wind causing panic. Paradoxical undressing from hypothermia, but doesn't explain why they fled first. 2019. Russian authorities reopened the case. Conclusion? Avalanche. Families and experts reject this. Mystery level, 9 out of 10. We know how they died. We have no idea why they ran. The Dyatlov Pass remains one of the most disturbing unsolved cases of the 20th century. And yes, some people genuinely proposed Yeti. Because when science fails, blame cryptids. Case number 2, the Somerton Man. December 1st, 1948, 6:30 a.m., Somerton Beach, Adelaide, Australia. A man is found dead against a seawall, legs crossed, head resting on stone. He looks like he fell asleep watching the sunrise. He's in peak condition, muscular, well-groomed, around 40 to 45, impeccably dressed, expensive polished shoes. But something's off. Every clothing label has been carefully cut out. No wallet, no ID, nothing. His pockets contain a bus ticket, an unused train ticket, gum, cigarettes, matches. That's it. The autopsy. Enlarged spleen, congestion in organs, signs of poisoning. Toxicology? Negative for all known poisons. Cause of death? Unknown. Then it gets stranger. 4 months later, a suitcase surfaces from Adelaide railway station. Inside, clothes with labels removed, a stenciling brush, scissors, a knife. In a hidden pocket, a tiny scrap of paper. 2 words printed. Tamam should. Persian for, it is finished. The final page from the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. The book, Police Appeal. Does anyone have this book with the page torn out? A man comes forward. He'd found a copy thrown into his car near Somerton Beach around the time of death. The final page is missing. On the back cover, faint pencil markings, 5 lines of letters, a code, or random letters, or an encrypted message. No one has cracked it. Next to the code, a phone number. It belongs to a woman near Somerton Beach. When questioned, she claimed she didn't know him, but witnesses said she looked on the verge of fainting when shown his face. She refused to elaborate. She died in 2007 without ever revealing what she knew. Modern developments. In 2022, DNA matched him to Charles Webb, an electrical engineer from Melbourne. But this just raises more questions. Why remove labels? Why the code? Spy? Jilted lover? Man on the run? Mystery level. 8 out of 10. We might know who he was. We're no closer to understanding why he died, or what secrets he took to the grave. The Somerton Man. Solving one mystery, creating 5 more. Case number 1. The temple that shouldn't exist. Göbekli Tepe, Turkey. Discovered in 1963. Fully excavated starting in the 1990s. Carbon dating? 9,500 BCE. That's 7,000 years older than Stonehenge. 7,000 years older than the pyramids. It predates agriculture, pottery, writing, and the wheel. According to everything we know, the people who built this were supposed to be simple hunter-gatherers, small nomadic bands. No cities, no social hierarchy, no organizational capacity for massive construction projects. And yet, massive T-shaped limestone pillars, some weighing 20 tons, intricately carved with animals, symbols, abstract designs, organized in circular structures. This wasn't a settlement. It was a temple complex, built by people we thought were incapable of this level of sophistication. How did hunter-gatherers quarry, transport, and erect 20-ton stones without metal tools, draft animals, or wheels? And more importantly, why? What motivated them to build this? What this means. Göbekli Tepe flips the script on human civilization. Traditional theory. Agriculture led to settlements, which led to social hierarchy, which led to organized religion and monumental architecture. Göbekli Tepe suggests the opposite. Organized religion came first. People built temples before they built cities. Spiritual belief drove the development of complex society, not the other way around. In other words, humans got together to build a temple, realized, hey, this cooperation thing works, and accidentally invented civilization. Mystery level, 10 out of 10. Göbekli Tepe rewrites the entire story of how civilization began. And archaeologists estimate they've only excavated 5% of the site. Whatever else is buried there might rewrite it again. So, what do all these mysteries have in common? They're proof that history isn't a closed book. For every question we answer, we uncover 3 more that don't make sense. We found the Somerton man's identity, but not his secrets. We know the dancing plague happened, but not why. We have the copper scroll's directions, but not the treasure. We see the Voynich manuscript's pages, but can't read them. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Some of these might never be solved. The answers could be buried under modern cities, lost in translation, destroyed by time, or sitting in an archive somewhere waiting for the right person to notice. But that's what makes them fascinating. These aren't just historical footnotes. They're reminders that the world is stranger, more complex, and more mysterious than our textbooks admit. If you think you know which mystery has the best chance of being solved, drop it in the comments. And if you're a cryptographer who just cracked the Voynich manuscript, or a treasure hunter who found the copper scroll hoard, please, for the love of history, call someone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Because if we're going to question history together, we might as well do it as a team. See you in the next mystery.